Hi, everyone. I wonder if anyone will read this, but thank you if you do. Something weird has been going on at work and I just feel lost. I feel all sorts of things, really. I'm not sure what to think, or who I can talk to. I saw that some people post here to talk about things that they can't really talk about anywhere else. So, I thought I would give it a try. I'm not the type to be very open about the irrational, so I'm not sure how to approach this. I thought about trying therapy, but they would probably just assume that I'm crazy. Except this time. I want to get it out of my head. Get it out there, anywhere. I'll try and keep it short and to the point, so it doesn't take too long a read. Before all of this, I lived in a tiny town, in the middle of fields and forests. It had its charm, I won't deny that, but it didn't feel like I was made for this type of life. I'll be honest, I felt helpless, like I had no potential of a future there. As a high school student, there were very few job options open for us. Either we worked at one of those 2 tiny restaurants, the grocery store, or one of the 3 gas stations. That's right, we had 3 gas stations, which we all thought was excessive considering that we could cross the town from one side to the other by foot within an hour. Anyway, I ended up working at a family diner. Once I finished high school, I stayed there for a few more months, so I could save up more money. Then, I moved to the city that I live in now. Life is very different here. 400 kilometers away from home. There are hundreds of thousands of people. It's always loud, always moving. As soon as I arrived, despite having a good amount of savings in my account, I went looking for a job. 3 days later, I officially got hired at a small convenience store. I was lucky to find something so quickly. I wasn't looking for anything fancy, really. I just wanted anything that would ease my anxiety and my fear of having to go back home if I couldn't afford the life here. My plan was to go to college, study to become a translator, then find a job in that field. Unfortunately, after a year of studying, I accepted that I wouldn't be able to handle it. Long story short, my will to live was gone. I couldn't afford groceries, rent, and all the costs related to college. And I had no energy. Ever. So, I gave up. I quit college and kept working. After 2 more years, I decided to look for another job. Something more permanent. It took a while. Finding a job in a city where every place is filled to the brim with employees isn't easy. If anyone tells you, "You'll see, they're looking for employees everywhere," well, that person is full of shit. I applied to over 100 places, and only got 2 responses back. I had an interview with a clothing store which didn't lead anywhere. One night, a notification lit up my phone screen. I received an email from the Timeless Beauty Center saying they were hiring me. No interview, no nothing. They wanted me to start the next day. The job itself is pretty simple. I'm basically a receptionist for a plastic surgery clinic, and for a photography studio. I know what you're probably thinking. I also thought it was weird when I first got hired. But it quickly became normal to me. The 2 businesses are owned by the same woman. I've never met her, but I heard she is your typical rich, snobby woman. Not the type of person I would get along with. Not the type to give me a second glance. If you come in the Timeless Beauty Center, you'll find yourself in a wide, shiny, white hallway. The walls, the floor, the furniture. It's all pure white, almost blinding. After walking a few steps, you'll then be in front of my desk, facing me. To my left a door leads to the photography studio, and to my right, you guessed it, is another door that opens in the plastic surgery clinic. I answer calls, schedule appointments, and welcome in customers and patients. I have other tasks, of course, but I'm just trying to give you a little summary of what I do so you can understand the basic idea of my job. I couldn't tell you how skilled our photographers are because I've never seen any of the pictures they take. I've never questioned that. I don't know what the laws related to photography are. Maybe they aren't allowed to share pictures taken of people in private studios. Our surgeons, however, are incredibly good at what they do. I mean that. The patients that come in look completely different once they come out a few days later. They can do anything and everything, to a point where it's almost creepy. I'm talking facial surgery that leaves no scarring at all, entirely changing the face shape of a person. They do hair transplants that seem so natural, nobody would guess that it isn't real. That's not all they do though. Jaw surgery, liposuction, you name it, the list goes on. For example, a lady came in one afternoon saying she had an appointment under the name of Stephanie with Dr. Stevens. So, as per the procedure, I hand her a form to fill in while I call the doctor to let him know that his next patient is here. I'm not sure what her appointment was for, since I never read people's files. It felt disrespectful, like an invasion of privacy. I would technically be able to figure out if I wanted, but that would involve snooping further into the system than I was allowed to. Stephanie was an average height, slim woman with short black hair. Her teeth were slightly crooked, but most people would never notice, too captivated by her deep green eyes. Dr. Stevens came to let her into the clinic, and I went on with my day, welcoming in more patients for either one of the two businesses. I don't usually remember patients, if I'm being honest, but I remembered her. I'm a simple 20-year-old man, alright? When I see a beautiful woman, well, I remember her. So, 2 days later, when a tall, red-headed woman came to my desk to check out of the clinic, I was astonished. There stood Stephanie, at least 4 inches taller than she originally was. Her hair reached her hips, and her skin now had freckles that I could swear she didn't have before. My eyes observed every aspect of her new appearance until they landed on her teeth. They were perfectly straight. A weird feeling settled in the back of my lungs. Did she get fake teeth? I had no doubt that Dr. Stevens would be capable of doing such a realistic-looking job. But still, it weirded me out. She looked at me with a tint of amusement in her eyes. Her eyes. They looked different. They were still green, but I promise I'm not kidding when I say that they were a completely different shade. You know that cartoonish green, toxic liquid colour? It was exactly like that. I thought I was mistaken. There was no way she could be the same Stephanie. But no, she was the same woman from 2 days ago. There was no doubt. Such was confirmed when her information perfectly matched the one written in the computer system. That stayed with me for a while. I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to science, but that seemed impossible to me. I mean, changing eye colours like that? And height? Still, I tried not to think about it too much. The surgeons are the professionals. I'm just the receptionist. I need to mind my own business. Part of me didn't want to ask questions, afraid that I would be fired and without a source of income. So what if I didn't understand the lengths of surgery? I brushed the doubt out of my mind and kept on working as usual. A few weeks later, I welcomed in a gorgeous young woman. I'm talking long black hair, beautiful brown eyes, decorated with flawless makeup, and a figure that would make everyone in the room notice her. I wondered if she was a model. "Welcome in. What can I help you with today?" I asked. "Hi, I'm here for my photo shoot. It's under the name of Ella," she replied with a smile, her shiny white teeth contrasting with her black lipstick. I handed her a form to fill and told her that her photographer would be with her soon, gesturing toward the waiting area of the hall. Ella took the document and looked at me, her expression changing slightly. "Are you sure you don't want my phone number?" she said, with a glint in her eyes. "We already have it in our files, don't worry," I responded. She tapped on the desk with her fingers, smiling playfully. She chuckled, took a pen and wrote her number on a small piece of paper I had on my desk. She then winked and walked away before taking a seat and beginning to fill out her form. I wasn't used to being flirted with at work. Most people's minds were entirely focused on their appointment. I must have looked really stupid because I don't even remember responding. I'm pretty sure I just stared at her with my mouth slightly open, trying to formulate a response. I stood there like an idiot for an embarrassingly long moment, before shaking my head and picking up the phone to call in the photographer. A few minutes later, Ella was brought into the studio. As she walked past my desk, she winked at me again. I smiled at her and put her number in my pocket. Part of me thought this was ridiculous. This is my workplace, not a middle school classroom. But still, I couldn't help but hope that something good would come of it. I wasn't the social type. I still am not. I don't go to bars, nor go to parties, so I don't usually end up with a woman's phone number. God, this is embarrassing to admit. The day got pretty busy. It seemed like it would never calm down, but sure enough, less and less people started coming in, giving me time to clean up and close the hall for the night. I was mindlessly sweeping the floor, simply relieved that the day was over, when my mind started to wander. I hadn't seen Ella leave the building after her appointment. I had really wanted to make up for the first impression she got of me. I wanted to wish her a good evening, at least maybe even invite her to go out for coffee together. I let out a sigh. Sure, it wasn't that big of a deal, but I was still disappointed. What if she changed her mind about me? I rolled my eyes, and then kept cleaning. After I finally left, I pulled the note out of my pocket and sent Ella a text. It simply said, "Hey, it's Zach, the receptionist. I thought I would see you again after your photo shoot, but I must have missed you." I put my phone into my pocket and started walking back home. The lights coming from other parts of the building still illuminated the streets around it. It was always like this. Some employees left much later than I did, despite the reception closing at 9 p.m. It seemed weird to me, but again, I assumed they probably had paperwork to fill out and whatnot. It's hard to know what has to be done in plastic surgery clinic after closing time, when you don't work in there. I got home, ate something, and then took a shower. After all this, I settled in bed. For once, I felt happy. I felt hopeful. Honestly, I couldn't stop glancing at my phone to see if Ella had responded. But she hadn't. She didn't reply that night, nor the day after. Days passed without a response, and I assumed she had changed her mind. I was disappointed, I admit. But it happens. It wasn't the end of the world. I got busy at work again, and I quickly stopped thinking about her. Despite my job technically being monotonous, little interactions here and there with people made each day a little bit different from the others, which I appreciated. This morning, something happened that truly freaked me out. The day had been boring. Nothing out of the ordinary or truly interesting happened. I was taking a sip of my coffee when a woman made her way around my desk and stood in front of me. "I'm here to check out," she said happily. My coffee got in my throat, and I had to try really hard to keep it from coming back up. I swallowed, feeling the liquid slowly, painfully, go down my throat. The woman. She looked like Ella. Not exactly like her. No, some of her features were different. She was shorter, and her smile was entirely different, but she undeniably looked eerily similar to her. Sure thing. Under what name?" I finally asked, hoping the woman standing in front of me would somehow be Ella. "It's under the name Sophie. I came in a few days ago, for my surgeries," she answered. My breath caught in my throat. I looked her up in the system, and sure enough, a short blonde woman with light blue eyes had come in 4 days ago. Except Sophie wasn't blonde anymore. Her hair was long and black, and her eyes were now a deep shade of brown that I hadn't been able to forget the sight of since I last saw them on Ella's face a week ago. I held my breath, trying to push down the wave of nausea that was dangerously making its way up my throat. As soon as she left, I fell to the floor, bent over the trash can, and threw up. It was undeniable. Those eyes were Ella's eyes. That hair was her hair. But they were on a completely different woman. That made no sense. I stayed on the floor for a while longer, clutching my stomach, heavy breathing. Fortunately, nobody else came in that night. I didn't even clean the hall. I locked the front door, and I left. I don't even think I turned off the lights. I ran home as fast as I could. I'm in bed now, and I can barely breathe. I sent an embarrassing amount of text to Ella's number, begging her to respond, to say anything. But she isn't responding. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Typing this all down was harder than I thought it would be. I'm trying to be rational, I swear. But how can I make sense of this? The new eyes, the new teeth, all those new features people came out with after their surgeries. They have to come from somewhere, right? Just, please, help me make sense of this. I swear, I'm not crazy. But I can't shake the feeling that something could have happened to Ella. If you have any idea, any rational explanation, anything, please, tell me. Ooh, so we're all thinking people are getting butchered in those surgeries, right? Either that or it's some very specific JoJo's fanfiction. Either way, Great story. Big thank you to RavensandRacoons for bringing it our way. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, make sure y'all keep it spooky.